Right now, as I'm recording this, literally, I'm talking to myself. And before I hit record, well, okay, you know what? You know it. I was talking to myself then too, working through what I wanted to say, how I wanted to say it, how I wanted to start this. What you might need to hear, and I bet you do it too, is talk to yourself. Maybe it's in the car while you're cooking. Maybe when you're trying to figure out a problem at work or a situation with your family. You're having a whole conversation with yourself. And if you're like most people, there's a little voice in the back of your head that probably says, is this normal? Am I weird for doing this? Because we've been taught that talking to yourself is strange, that it's off. That if you're walking down the street having a full-blown conversation with no one visibly around you, something must be wrong with you. We got this saying, well, I've heard this saying before. Oh, it's fine if you talk to yourself as long as no one doesn't answer you back. Like that's the line between okay and not okay. But here's the thing. I answer myself all the time. I ask myself questions and I work through the answers out loud. And you know what? That's when I do the best thinking. When I was younger, I heard that there was something you wasn't supposed to do. That was frowned upon, you know? What does that say about you to what people will say about you? So I really didn't do much of that back then, like, speak to myself and stuff. But as I got older, and I got an undergrad, graduate school, working on papers, presenting myself, I started noticing I needed to talk things out. I'll be prepping for something I had to present, and I find myself in a corner somewhere talking through my points, working out what I needed to say. People probably thought I was rehearsing or praying or something, but I had to do it. That's how the information landed for me. And now with all the big engagements, the creative work, the content I'm making, talking to myself is just how I process. It's how I get the information out easier. It's my personal pep talk. It's me working through the ideas before I bring them to the world. And honestly, it feels as normal as me talking to you right now. Well, literally to myself right now, but to you right now. Because in a way, that's what I'm doing. I'm here in a space, talking to myself, knowing it'll reach people eventually. But right now, it's just me and me figuring this out. So what we got is all backwards. Well, like I said, what it is we got is all backwards. What if talking to yourself isn't a sign that something's wrong, but a sign that something could be very, very right? Let me tell you why that thing you've been doing is private, that thing you might feel a little weird about is actually your superpower. So here's what actual researchers say, and I promise I'm not gonna get all academic-y and stuff on you. But you need to know this. Talking to yourself is linked to having a higher cognitive function, not lower, but higher. When you verbalize what you're thinking, it helps you solve problems faster, remember things better, and you even stay on what matters and to process your emotions instead of just sitting in them. So I've also read sometime that psychologists said that have the study that they watch people work through complex tasks. And what they found? That people who talk to themselves through it perform better than people who stay silent. It's like thinking out loud gives your brain permission to organize itself. I like that, And I think about that, like, yeah, that's true. to see connections you might have missed if anything stayed internal. And it's just not random people in the study doing this. Even our famous Einstein talked to himself. Writers talk to themselves. Any writers out there? That's half of what drafting is. Then I realized I love to watch sports, and I realized athletes give themselves pep talks before they even go out in the field and play. So it's not like there's a glitch in our brain. This is a feature. Well, um, I feel like, an old rule about, if a problem, it's only a problem when you answer yourself, that can go out the window. No, that's not even accurate. Having an eternal dialogue is where you work through different perspectives, where you ask yourself questions and think through the answers. That's freaking sophisticated and fly as fuck. That you being your own consultant, therapist, coach. Okay, so I'm gonna say this, and then hold your hand. I say it. When mental health professionals, actually look for if it's whether someone believes they're hearing voices from the outside of themselves, or if they sometimes can tell a difference between their thoughts and reality, that's different. That's way different compared to talking to yourself to get the kinks out. But consciously talking through your ideas and working through something out loud, I think that's so brilliant. Not a breakdown. Now look, I'm going to be really real with you for a second. And many of you may know, because I've probably said it a few times, I am a social worker. I do the clinical side. I work with real mental health crises. People experience psychosis, mania, dissociation. This ain't that. What I'm talking about is you working through your thoughts in the same way that makes sense for your brain. And here's what I need for you to hear. If talking to yourself helps you think clearly, it processes your emotions, you work through decisions, or just make you feel less alone in your own head, that is not something to fix. That's something to own up to. Embrace it. We live in this world that wants to medicalize everything, that wants to make you feel like if you're not operating a certain way, you need to be connected or you need to be corrected to that. But different doesn't mean deficient. Your way of processing might not be everyone's way, and that is okay. And I want to talk directly to some of y'all right now. For my people who have ADHD, you know that running commentary they got going on, the one that helps you stay on task, remember what you're doing, talk you through your steps. That's not annoying. That's not way too much. That's your brain adapting. That's a creative structure where your neurology needs it. And honestly, it's genius. I call it magical brain. For my autistic folks who rehearse conversations before that happen, or replay social interactions over and over again, trying to figure out what went wrong or right, that's not overthinking. That's processes in the way your brain works best. You're translating a world that wasn't built for you into something that makes perfectly good sense. And that takes intelligence and a lot of goddamn effort. And you deserve a lot of credit for that. For anyone managing bipolar, anxiety, depression, I know, come to the forefront, please. Sometimes that self-talk is the thing that keeps you grounded. It isn't a reality check. It's when your thoughts are spiraling. It's the pep talk when you can't get out of bed. It's the you can do this when no one else is around to say it. I see you. It's not a weakness. That's survival. That you're taking care of yourself with the tools that you have. And here's what I really need y'all to hear. You're not broken. Understand that. Your brain, this is a different operational system. And the fact that you're learning how to work with it instead of against it, that's you figuring out talking to yourself actually helps you function better. So don't be ashamed of it. There's something to celebrate. Now let me talk to my people who just operate all alone, maybe by choice, circumstances. Maybe you grew up as an only child and learned early how to entertain yourself, how to process things on your own. Maybe you work from home or you live alone. I don't know. You tell me. And there just aren't a lot of other voices in your daily life. Maybe it's value autonomy, you know? You learn that you don't need to run every thought past somebody even to be validated for it. Express yourself enough to be on your own sounding board. You might not have always talked to yourself. And this might be something that developed over time, a practice you grew into because you needed it. And I want you to know that's not sad. That's not lonely. That's fucking powerful. You built a relationship with yourself that most can never do. When people are so uncomfortable with their own thoughts, they need constant noise. They need constant distraction, input from someone else. But you, oh you trust your own voice enough to think out loud. You make peace with your own company. That's some rare shit, and it's valuable. So let me just turn this around real quick, just for a minute. Because here's what I've been thinking is really happening with people. What makes you feel weird about talking to yourself. In this grand old world we call society, once you're quiet and once you're second guessing yourself, waiting for permission from someone more, I'm gonna put in quotation marks, qualified, to validate your thoughts, dependent on external approval before you can trust your own judgment. But when you talk to yourself, when you work things out loud, you're having that conversation that matters most. The one with that person, you, who knows you best. That's you. Remember, come to the forefront, you. You're not waiting 2 weeks for a therapy appointment to process what happened today. You're not running every single decision past your friends, your partner, your family, waiting for consensus. You're not silencing your own brilliance because it sounds different or because someone might not understand it. The voice in your head, they're not the problem. They're actually winning. It is. They're not the ones helping you critically make decisions. Or they are the ones, and me rephrase that, I'm sorry. They are the ones that's helping you think critically, make decisions. I wouldn't say regulate your emotions. And it could even help you stay connected to yourself. And I feel if anyone tries to make you feel like crazy about that, it's uncomfortable with the sound of someone who knows themselves that well. Because I feel sometimes that most people don't, because most people don't understand when people are out here lost or waiting for someone else to tell them what to do, how to feel, or what's even next. So you know what? You don't do that. You don't need a whole advisory board, but you may have a whole advisory board in your own mind, which is dope. Go ahead, do it up. And you're not afraid to consult with yourself. So you see, just think about it in these sense, in this aspect, in this way. Just put this on the top. This is the pivotal moment here. You know, the epitome of why you do what you do. So here's what I need you to take away from this. If you talk to yourself out loud in your head, the car, the shower, cooking dinner, while you're working through a problem at your desk, you're not crazy. You're not even off. And you're not doing too much. You're thinking, you're processing. Like I said, That's brilliant. So the next time you catch yourself doing it, don't apologize. Don't even stop. Just notice what problem I'm solving right now, what I'm working through, because I felt the awareness. It's awareness right there, and you recognizing your own power. Anyone who makes you feel weird about that, talking to yourself, is just not comfortable with the sound of someone who trusts their own voice. Keep on talking, thinking out loud, like it's a consulting with yourself. Because it's a superpower that sounds crazy to everyone else, that's the one that's gonna change your life. That power may click. Vibe check out.